Hello all, and welcome to Shatter Our Souls with Novard. Now today we are, of course, tackling the Mushroom Cup 100cc itemless. The first of the Nitro Cups at 100cc, and to be clear, probably one of the easier of the options that we have available. Now, while we are playing as Mr. Casper the Friendly Ghost, King Boo, we got a few things that we could actually dive into here. Now, the first and foremost problem that I'm running into is actually the vehicle. So, for those that are in the know about the stats system in Mario Kart Wii, most cars have a stat distribution that gives them strengths and weaknesses on certain terrains, with certain characters, and with certain outcomes in mind. But so too do the characters themselves. Example being, Funky Kong has a huge boost to the Flame Runner, or a huge boost to overall top speed. The Flame Runner, being a high-end top speed monstrosity, is a great pick to go with him because it allows for the further improvement of his already pretty decent stats. But the thing is that every character has something, and King Boo here is no different. Well, King Boo is by far the lightest of the heavyweight characters, partially due to the fact that he's not physical in any way, shape, or form. King Boo is pretty overall, I would assume, to be the lightest and easiest to knock around, but also would therefore have better handling and acceleration. But this is conjecture based on limited information that I haven't really dug into too much. So don't take my word as gospel, just understand kind of where I'm getting at with this. Now, the reason why the Mario Kart Wii challenge here is going to be so significantly difficult, at least compared to various other challenges or runs that I could do, has to come down to how the game is played or is intended to function. Mario Kart Wii, for all intents and purposes, is intended to be very item heavy. You're gonna have to get lucky to be able to win a race in the online circles. Or you're gonna have to have a lot going for you right off the bat. Now, I love this, and I don't love this. Because if we are just to say, okay, well you need this to do this, then what's the point, right? The thing is that each character style would theoretically have some benefit to the player. In this run, the character that I deem to be admittedly the worst for this type of challenge are the heavyweights. Now, don't get me wrong, heavyweight characters in ordinary play are absolutely a godsend. They are incredibly potent, incredibly useful, and it is intended to be in this way that it works best. The problem that we have with heavyweights actually comes down to two problems. Their weight, their acceleration. So, because I am not allowed to use items, I am also, therefore, not allowed to defend myself against other players' attacks. Which means that my low acceleration is going to come into play more frequently than a character who has high acceleration. While my top speed right now is going to carry me for the majority of the race, I of course am going to be getting into 150cc soon. And the faster the game is intended to run, the worse that this slow lead up becomes. The second problem that we're going to run into is, of course, handling. Now, to be clear, I'm an individual who has always liked lightweight characters. They're light, they have high acceleration, and they have good handling. If you can take the turn sharp, take the turn sharp. And that's kind of the mentality I've always had, is sharp turns are better than wide ones. Because if you can shave off the time in those ways, then great. Heavyweights, especially those with vehicles like the Flame Runner, which I'm running right now, have the potential to be more. Or should I say, they have the potential to do better depending on the skill of the user. This is going to get a little bit iffy. The skill level of the user is going to dictate how well you can run a heavyweight character. Your turns are going to be, you're going to be traveling faster, which is going to be a greater benefit. Your turns are typically going to be wider, which again isn't a great thing unless you have a vehicle that can handle those sharp turns. So, ironically, Funky Flame Runner being the meta of the game is entirely proportional to what it is intended to be. Because the game's meta is designed around, oh yeah, Funky Kong is the fastest character, Flame Runner is the fastest bike, and it has the best handling of these tools that we have. Therefore, it makes sense. For me, mine was always Dry Bones with the Blue Falcon. Because I loved the Blue Falcon, especially in its dark gray aesthetic. Loved it. Told you a little bit about how edgy I tried to be as a kid, despite the fact that I was not edgy in any way, shape, or form. And generally, I preferred karts because of the orange boost system, where you could get a better boost just by racing a little bit longer or taking your turn a little bit earlier. That's kind of how I've always played. But, I don't know. C'est la vie, little bit of each. I think that overall, the challenge is doable, but it's the 150 in mirror mode that's going to really do me in. Now, the reason behind that is aggression. 150cc and a mirror mode are designed around opponents that are now faster than the player. Which means you gotta get lucky with your item drops. But we can't rely on items. So what else do we have at hand that might help us out? Not a whole hell of a lot. Options are effectively to get really lucky with how my turns go. Hopefully get a good drop from a blue shell later or further back in the path. And generally just drive like your life depended on it. I believe that the major runs in the 150 to mirror mode runs are going to be more heavily reliant on the smaller characters, because while they don't have the top speed that the large characters do, they have enough going for them in the not raw speed, but in the finesse department to make it work. This is entirely based on a very small amount of information. I could be wrong. But from my tests so far into 150, just seeing what I'm getting into, most of the heavyweight characters slow down after getting hit is their downfall, because they are so slow that you're just falling further and further and further behind. But that's going to come at a later time. We'll kind of poke our nose into that as need be. Moving on, I have a curiosity question. Do you think that my belief that this is going to be more or less difficult at certain points makes sense? And would you like a ranking of every kart, or sorry, not every kart, every track in Mario Kart Wii, based on my personal opinion? Let's be clear, I'm not an expert on this series, and I'm not going to be the individual who is going to give the stat breakdown of every character. But I am going to be the type of player who says, I like these courses because... And I might do it just because, why not? But, curiosity's sake, let's assume I did. What would your expectations be? I'd love to hear it down below in the comments. And with that, the Mushroom Cup 100cc has been finished with 57 points, putting me exactly 16 points ahead of second place, effectively meaning today's race has been mission complete. And as my expectations were set, I have two light characters, one on either side of me. Now this could just be luck, but that seems to be a little bit more evidence to my expectations. Anyways, if you like what you see, drop a like, leave a subscribe, and we'll catch you next week. Until then, I hope you have a good one.